Okay, so today I'm going to start the API testing using JMeter. Okay, so now first of all, tell me, anybody have any idea what is JMeter? Anybody have idea what is JMeter? Okay, JMeter is actually a tool which is used for performance testing of an application. Application can be any application, can be anything, like application can be a web application, and it can also help in providing, or you can say creating a project or framework for testing the database performance, to test the performance of a program, to perform a uh, get the performance testing of a any server. So JMeter is actually used for so many type of performance testing, but in this session we are going to learn the specific and the most important testing in our web application, that is called API. Okay, so now the first question is that what is performance testing? Anybody want to tell what is performance testing? Can you give me any example that what is the difference between the functional testing and the performance testing? Anybody want? Harshita, Niveda, Priyanka, Yogita?
Functional testing is...
Yeah. Tell me.
In performance testing, we increase the number of users so that it will create a excessive load on the server. So in that case, we see how much load it can bear. Like I would say, the very live example is the IRCTC website during the trial sessions. That
yes,
is like
excellent. You have given the you can say very good example. So now if I want to take example where you can apply that, this is the functional testing of the aspect and this is the performance testing of the aspect. So I will give you the very good example. If you take the example of a login, okay, now the thing is that if you are going to test a login functionality, so what will be the functionality testing of the login application? Like it means whenever you are giving a valid user and the valid password, in that case, what will happen? If you click on the login button, the user should be able to log in. Yes or no?
Yes.
So now here, what aspect you are not considering? That user is able to log in within 1 second or in 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 5 seconds. It doesn't matter. The reason is that the functionality says that if you are providing a valid username and the valid password, and if you're clicking on the login button, user should be able to log in. Getting my point? Yes or no? But in the performance testing, the time aspect is also considered. You can take the example of the performance testing with the help of single user also. Now tell me one thing. If there are two type of e-commerce website, I can take the example of suppose one website is Amazon and one website is Flipkart. I'm just taking the example. In Amazon, what is happening? Whenever you try to log in, it is taking too much time. You can say when you try to log in, it is taking 3 or 4 minutes in the login. Okay, but whenever you are going to the Flipkart, in the Flipkart, the user is able to log in within the 1 second. So now tell me, now again consider the thing that Amazon is providing lots of offers and Flipkart is not providing any offer. In that case also, people will like to go with the Flipkart. What? Because in Amazon, what will happen? You are going to log in, it is taking so much time. Yes or no? And nobody is going to wait. Okay, 3-4 minutes, I'm going to wait for a login. Then I will make a purchase there. Then I will complete the flow. Are you getting my point? Yes or no? Yes or no?
yes.
Yeah. So the thing is that in the functionalities testing, you only focus the functionality wise. The scenario should be run fine. But in the performance testing, you also include that the time factor. Like the thing I told you, that login functionality is working, but it should be performed within a particular time frame. And now if you will go to the broad level of the performance testing, so simply the thing is that, take the example, in your application, if 1 or 2 or 3 users are trying to log in, they are able to log in successfully. But what happens when there are number of users? Like you can say, you told me that there are number of users, like thousands or lakhs number of users trying to enter into the application or they are trying to log in into the application, what happens? There are so many scenarios. There are so many issues can be there. Like in case of multiple users try to log in into the application, maybe they are not able to log in. They are taking so much time. Maybe your server will be crashed. Yes or no? So like somebody have given me very, very good example. In case of IRCTs, what happens? Sometimes you can see sometimes when lots of people try to log in the IRCTC application, you didn't get a chance for the reservation. Yes or no? And especially there is a particular time that is called, what is called? There is a particular time that is called immediate booking. That is also known as Tatkal booking. So in that time, if you will try to go in that particular time frame to log in into the IRCTC and try to book a ticket, you will really get a chance. Yes or no? Yes or no? But in the usual time, but in the normal times, if you try to access the IRCTC application, you will be able to log in. So now the thing is that whenever multiple users try to access the application, in that case also, the application should respond properly. It doesn't matter. There are thousands number of users are there, or there are lakhs number of users are there. The application should work properly. The application should respond properly. And this is called performance testing. You got my point? So in if functional testing scenario is passed, it doesn't matter, their performance testing scenario will be passed. Getting my point? They are two different things. Is it okay? You got the point?
Yes.
Okay, now tell me one thing. One thing also asked in the interview, what is the load testing? Anybody know what is the load testing? And there is one is called stress testing. Anybody have any idea? Performance testing is also comes into you can say divide into the multiple you can say branches, like one is load testing, stress testing, spike testing. There are so many type of testing. Anybody can tell me mainly two type of testings are there which are very, very important. One is load testing and second is a stress testing. Anybody know?
Load testing, yeah. Load testing is like we need to test with a specified number of users. Like if we have a multiple 500 users, we are testing within that. And stress testing is more than the defined number of users.
Excellent, clapping for you. Excellent. This is the main thing. What happens that in load testing, we know that how many number of users the application should run fine. For example, what happens, Harshita, great Harshita. So what happens whenever any application is built and going to be ready to launch in the market, always the company or the you can say company or the project always decide that, okay, how many numbers of users will be there to use the application in the starting. So they always decide, okay, I can assume that in the starting there will be 5,000 number of users can be there. So application is built on the base of so that it can serve 5,000 number of users. Okay, so now in the same way, the testing is also performed keeping in the mind the criteria is that when I will try to make a load of 5,000 users on my application, it should run fine. Getting my point? Yes or no? This is called load testing. Niveda, you are getting?
Yes, Pradeep. Yes.
But now the thing is, what is stress testing? So it is something that performance testing tuning is something like where they try to achieve that at least 5,000 number of users should able to access the application. They should able to serve the application properly. But it is not something like that you are measuring some sugar or salt or you can say flour or rice that you are trying to measure exact 5 kg. No, they try to tune the application so that application should work properly for 5,000. But maybe the application can work for more than 5,000. So what happens that, as Harshita told us, that in the load testing, we start from the 5,000 that at least for 5,000 users, the application should work fine. The application should respond fine. But what happened that when application is running fine for the 5,000 users, we try to increase the number of users to check whether at which extent the application is still responding properly. So we do something like that. After 5,000, we add 100 more users. Okay, then we try to add 100 more users. So after adding number of users, more users, we try to test the application again whether it is responding properly or not. So in the same way, you can take the example when 5,000 users it is running fine, we added 600 more users. So now it become 5,500. It was running fine. Then we added 500 more users in the application to test whether for 5,000, for 6,000 users, it is working fine or not. So what happens if we try to add few more users, and at that time your application is crashing, or it is not working properly, or it is behaving abnormally? In that case, we can say that load testing is working fine for the 5,000 users, and it has a stress criteria of 1,000 more users. Means if any point of time 1,000 more users will come to my application will serve properly. But if you try to go beyond the 6,000, it will fail. Harshita, right? Yes or no?
Yes, Pradeep.
So 5,000 is actually the criteria which always takes in the starting. That is called load testing. Anyhow, we have to make the application so that it can serve for 5,000. Beyond that, whatever we are testing, we are trying to get the stress criteria of the application. Means how much stress we can put on the application so that it can work properly. So stress testing always, you can say, considered after the load testing to get that how many extra users after taking the expected number of users, how many more users we can allow to serve the application, and that is called stress testing. Okay, now the question is that there are so many tools in the market which allows you to make a performance testing. Now, what can anybody tell me what is the main challenge in performance testing? If you want to perform you can say performance testing, you need thousands and lakhs number of users. Like for example, if you take the example of current scenario, whatever we have taken the example, we want to make a performance testing with 5,000 number of users. So how you will get 5,000 real number of users? You can get, if I will take the example, I can take Harshita, Niveda, Prinka, Yogita, and Silve. I will give you application. I will say that all of you can try to make a load on that. Can you try to log in the same application at a time? I can gather 200, 300, 400. My group is very, very strong, you can say big, so I can max go for the 2,000. But I want 5,000 number of, or you can say 1 lakh number of users. So we can't do it in the real way. Yes or no? Can we ask 1 lakh users to access my application at the same time? Is it possible?
No.
So in that case, actually the performance testing tool is going to help you in creating a scenario, or you can say in simulating a scenario where you can create thousands or lakhs number of virtual users. What you use? Virtual users. And virtual users are going to access your application in the same way like your real users are accessing, so that you can perform the load testing. Are you getting my point? So this is the main feature that a performance testing tool should provide. The rest of the things are same, just like the functional testing. Yes or no?
Yes.
So this thing I will show you that there are so many tools in the market, but the best tool I will say, the best tool is that is called JMeter. So now there are so many reasons that why I'm saying that JMeter is the best tool in the you can say performance testing. First thing is that in the Indian market and in the, you can say on the whole IT industry, the first thing is preferable, that is open source. Open source means that is open source and that is free. Free means there is no need to pay anything to use this particular tool. So JMeter is the tool which is basically based on Java and it is free to use. You don't need to pay any money for that. This is the first benefit. Second is that it is open source. What is the use of open source? Open source means at any point of time, if this tool will contain any, you can say drawback, any limitation, that is timely resolved by the not only the particular community, all of you. You are also, if you are also a developer and you find the tool and you in your tool you find any drawback or any limitation, if you want to contribute, if you want to solve that, and then you want to add or you want to add any feature in the JMeter, you can add it. You have to just inform the community of the JMeter that this is the drawback what I found in your JMeter. I want to add this thing, that you should solve it, and I can give you the solution for that. So it is open source means anybody can use the source, and if you want to contribute, you can contribute. As a tester, we are not going to contributing, but what is the benefit of this? It means every time JMeter is improving. Are you getting my point? Because so many developers, so many open source persons are trying to contribute. Are you getting my point?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so now the thing is that if you are going to use JMeter, what is the way to use JMeter? There is an official website of JMeter that is called jmeterapache.org. When you go to here, you will see that it has all the information related to the JMeter. So you can say JMeter, what can I do with? You can see, as I told you, you can make so many type of testing like webs, HTTP, HTTPS, Java, Node.js, SOAP REST services testing, FTP file transfer protocols, database testing, LDAP are called LDAP servers testing, mail testing, TCP testing, Java object. So many testing you can perform. So many type of performance testing you can perform with the JMeter. But here we are covering the most one, and that is called API testing. So there are so many details here. Now, first of all, we will see how we can download the JMeter. When you go to the download section of the JMeter, this one left side, you will see currently which version is launched, Apache JMeter 5.4.3. And what is the prerequisite for that? It requires Java 8+. Means your system should have Java 8 and 8+ for this. Now you will see, are you able to see two things here? Binaries and source. Are you able to see binaries and source? So as I told you, it is an open source, means if you want to get the if you want to use the JMeter, you should go with the binaries. Okay, binaries means it will contain only the binary code, that is .class files of the software. And if you want to work, if you want to use this JMeter for your development purpose, you want to make some changes, you also get the source code. Getting my point? So we are here to use the JMeter, so we will go for the binaries. You got the difference between the binaries and the source?
Yes, yes, Pradeep.
So you will, because it is open source, you can use it, that is source, but we are going to use it, so we'll use the binaries part. Okay, so in binaries there are two things, Apache JMeter 5.4.3 TGZ, and the second one is zip. So in Windows we usually use zip format, and in other like Linux and Unix system we use TGZ format. So simply click on this one, zip.
The source will be in JavaScript. Which language, Pradeep?
Java. The source is Java. So it means what happens when you download the source, you will get the .java files of the you can say whole software as well as .class. But in the binaries, you will get only the .class file. Getting my point? Right? Yes or no?
Yes, yes, Pradeep.
Okay, so as you can see, whenever you are developing your code, what you generate the code, you actually create the Java file, and also after creating the Java file, indirectly it creates the .class file. Yes or no? And whenever you will try to give your project anybody, you will only provide the .class file. You don't provide the source code .java file. Otherwise, the person will copy your code. Yes or no? Okay, so in this case, because it is open source, it is providing both the things. So we have just downloaded this zip one. Now go to the source folder part, and here you will see this is the zip. Now you have to extract it. Let me extract it. You can extract it. When you extract it, it will be extracted in a particular folder like Apache JMeter 5.4.3. So when you will extract it, you will get a folder something like that. Let it be extracted here. I've already, you guys you can say a download in a particular place. I have this one software, and here you can say the JMeter is there. Yeah, JMeter here. I have JMeter 5.3, this one. So in the same way, you will get this 5.3. Is it okay? So let it download it. When it will download, you will get this folder. In this folder, you will get a folder that is called bin. What is the folder name? Bin. So in bin, you will able to see two files are very, very important. One is called Apache JMeter.jar, and second, you will see in the same folder, you will see a batch file, JMeter.batch. Getting my point? And also it contains a file that is called JMeter.sh. Anybody can tell me JMeter.sh file, where it is used? .sh file is used in which operating system? Anybody know? Say yes or no. You don't know? Harshita, you are trying to speak, but I am not able to hear.
No, Pradeep.
Okay, so actually .sh file are used in the Linux environment. Okay, and if you are working on the Windows environment, which file is used? JMeter.bat. Okay, so yeah, tell me. Yeah, JMeter.
No, I was also saying That
Yeah. Yeah. So JMeter BAT is used for the Windows now, but in the latest 5.3 version, they have given one option. Previously, actually, people run the JMeter tool with the help of this batch file, but now they have given a better option that instead of doing it in the latest version, they provide this one, Apache JMeter.jar, executable jar. Just double click on it and it will open a UI for you. Okay. Previously, in the older versions, instead of opening this, you can say your tool was opened with the help of JMeter batch. You can still open with the help of JMeter batch. But what happens when you open, let me close it. It has opened a JMeter tool for you. Now you will see what is the difference. If I will try to open with the help of JMeter batch, what will happen? It will open two windows. First of all, it will open a console window. And after that, it will open the JMeter tool. Getting my point? So now JMeter community think about that. Why we are showing this console every time it is not needed? Why we are opening the console and then we are opening the software tool? So you will see when I click the close the console, your JMeter tool is also closed. So to remove this dependency, they have given you this Apache JMeter.jar. Just double click on it. And what will happen? It will just open a tool for you. Is it okay? You got the difference between the JMeter.jar executable and the JMeter.bat? Yes. So now the thing is that this is the JMeter tool. So anybody of you have any idea about the JMeter tool? Anybody? Or you are just... No. So in this JMeter tool, actually what happens that it is a UI based tool. So you don't need to make any coding here. You only have to do the configuration like you have learned in the SOAP UI tool. Or if you have worked on the Postman, it is something like that you have to make a configuration. So in the JMeter, whenever you try to create any API performance testing project or any type of performance testing project you will try to create in the JMeter, it is called test plan. In the JMeter, it is known as test plan. So it means whenever you are creating a project in JMeter, it is known as test plan. So you can do one thing, just file, new, and when you click on new, you will see this window. And here you can give the name of your test plan. I will say student test plan. I'm going to test the student API. Is it okay? Student test plan. So what is the use of test plan? It is just like a name of your project. Okay, now just save it. When you save it, you will see the name will be reflected at the left side and you can save it anywhere. I'm saving in the bin folder. Student test plan. Already I have so many files there. So let me do one thing. I will try to give some different name. So I can say student test plan and, or you can say student 17th batch test plan. Okay. And same I will use with my same. And here I will give this name, same name here. So that because I have already same project with the name of in my bin folder. So what is the, again, tell me what is the name of the test plan? Test plan is just like the name of your project. Now in the test plan, when you right click on it, you will get an option that is called thread groups. Are you able to see the thread groups? This is the first option you should select. I'm clicking on the thread group. So anybody can tell me what you are able to see in the bracket of the threads. What is written in the bracket of the threads?
Users.
Excellent. So in the, you can see in your JMeter, whenever you have decided the name of the project, that is the test plan, then you add first component that is known as test user and you will click on thread group. So now this is very important. What is thread group? Actually, technically it is known as thread group, but indirectly you can say it is actually the configuration for the virtual number of users. This configuration thread group is used to give the virtual number of user. So in this part name, you can customize or you can say user group. Are you getting my point? You can say user group. Is it okay? Now, in the user group, you will be able to see the some thread properties. You will able to see the some thread properties. What is the first property? What is the first property? Number of threads. And in the bracket, it is written number of threads. In the bracket, it is written users. Means how many number of users you want to simulate. So currently, I'm taking the example of only one. I will try to increase. But first of all, I will do one thing. I will configure the API and run it with single user. if the API will respond properly, then I will go with multiple number of users. Is it okay? Now, the second thing is the ramp up period. Okay, let it be 1 second. I will tell you about thing. And third is loop count. And loop count means how many times your user will hit the API. So if you want to give the particular number of count, you can give here. And if you want to make a infinite, means every user will keep hitting the API, keep hitting the API. So we will select the option infinite. When we select on the infinite, your count will be disabled. So currently I'm taking the example with 1 user. Okay, and the count is only 1 user. Okay, this is okay. What is the purpose of thread group? Tell me. To configure the number of virtual users. Is it okay?
Yes.
So we will come back to this point now. Thread group is ready. Now the second thing is that click on your thread group and you add a second. So this is, you can say, third component. First is test plan, the name of your project, that is called test plan. Then you add the thread group. Thread group is actually the configuration of number of virtual users. So after that, you will decide what type of testing you want to perform with the help of JMeter. In the JMeter, what type of testing you want to perform, like database testing, API testing, web application testing, Java testing, any testing, that is decided by sampler. Getting my point? You can see so many options are there in the sampler: flow control action, HTTP request, debug sampler, so many. You can say, still you can say this one, FTTP, JDBC. Are you able to see LDAP, mail? Are you able to see these options? So these type of testing can be performed with the help of JMeter. So we are interested in the API. So we will select this option that is called HTTP request. Which option we will select? HTTP
Request.
Yes. Now when you click on HTTP request, it will add a child. This option is added as a child of user group. It means whatever number of users you will configure in the user group, that will hit this API. So now I will give this request as a proper name, like get all students. What I will say? Get all students. So I will try to configure first API, get all students. Is it okay? So now in your API, let me open the, you can say, API document. What things you have to configure here. Okay, so let me open that document. Yeah, web service document. Let me open it here. In this way, I will take the example of this one, rest uri.txt. Let me open it. So now tell me one thing. I have told you this thing 2 times in the SOAP-API, as well as I told you in the rest assured. If we want to test this thing, so this is the URL. It means I have to give this URL somewhere and give the method. Yes or no?
Yes.
So now the things that how you are going to configure in the JMeter. This is very important. So in JMeter, actually you will see your tool is divided into the 3 parts. One is protocol HTTP. Here you write the IP of the server or IP of the server. Here you write the port number, and here you select the type of method, and here you write the path. So now the thing is that how you will get these values. Actually, your URL is also divided into the parts. This part HTTP is known as the protocol. What is known as protocol? So in the HTTP part, you will put it. Is it okay? Yes or no?
Yes, yes, right.
And now this is known as your server IP. In my case, I have given it local host, but maybe when you get the API from your application, from your company, this instead of local host, it will be something like that 192.168. something and something. It is something, there will be IP, or it will be the name of the application, and you are going to put in the server name section. Is it okay? So in your case, it can be the name something amazon.com. Getting my point? In your company, maybe it can be the IP. So it can be the IP, it can be the name of the domain. Is it okay? Now, what is this? This is called, what it called? Port number. You guys are not speaking with me. This is called port number. So I've given the port number. Now the rest, other than rest of the part, this part you have to give on a field that is called path. Are you getting my point? So how you are going to configure? In the protocol, you have to give the HTTP. Here you have to give the IP,
So
or you can say, and the port number. You have to give whatever port is written in your URL 8080, and here you have to select the HTTP request, and here give the path. So everything is okay. Now what we'll do? Let me save it. Now the thing is that when I will run this plan, when I will run this student test plan, it will run. But how you are able to see that your API is running fine, it is giving the response or not? You need a dashboard, something like that. Yes or no? So in that case, in your user group, there is one other option that is called listeners. What is called? Listeners. And if listeners means, listener is something like that. You can say it try to provide you a portal where you can see the results of your API hits. So here basically mainly we try to use two types. One is called view result tree, and other you should add, you can add two. There are so many, there are listeners are there, but two are very, very important. One is view result tree, and second is view result in table. So as the name suggests, you can easily understand whatever API will hit, it will show you the result in the tree format, and this will show you the result in the table format. Is it okay? Say yes or no.
Can you repeat, Pradeep?
Yeah, I'm saying that I'm going to repeat it again. This is the student test plan. Then you have created a user group. In the user group, you can configure the number of users which you want to use in your load testing. Then you configure the API. Now what will happen when this plan will run? This API will hit. So and there should be any portal, there should be any place where you can see the response is coming properly. Yes or no? Results, status. Yes or no? So these two things, view result tree and view result in table, these two actually options show you the result. This show the result in a proper tabular format, and view results show that result in the tree format. So now I will run this thing. Let me click on this run button. I will click on run button, and you will see the results in this both the listeners. So let me run it. Are you able to see one record is there? Yes or no?
Yes.
And you can see now here, you can see when you have hit it, because you have only one single number of user. So you are able to see only one request, one sample request. The start time is given, the thread name is given, the label is given, which API it is running, get all students. What is the sample time? The time taken by the API. And what is the status? Green means it is okay. This is bytes. What do you mean by bytes? The size of their response. Are you able to see yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, Pradeep.
And same thing you want to see in the detail, you can go in the view result tree. Here you can see the details of the API. Click on that. This is the request sample result. Now click on response data. Actually, this is the record of all students. Yes or no? Are you able to see? Yes or no?
Pradeep.
If you want to copy, you can copy and see in the notepad also. Control A, Control C, and you can see in the notepad also. This is the response you are getting. Yes or no? The details of all the students. This is the detail of all the students. Getting my point? And here the thing is that it means for one user it is running fine. Yes or no?
Yes,
Now you have to run your same request with multiple number of users. So here you can increase the number of users. I'm going to increase the user to 10. Now you will see. Let me first of all go to the view result table and clear the logs. How you can clear? Here you can see there is a one button that is called clear all. So let me clear all. This is cleared and this is cleared. The logs are cleared in the view result table and tree. Yes. Now click on the run button and see what is this time run. How many times requests are hit? How many requests you are able to see? Tell me. How many hits you are able to see? Tell me yes or no.
10 samples.
Yes. So actually 10 samples mean these are 10 requests, which is running parallel. So in this way, you have seen that this tool is actually helping you in creating the virtual number of users. These all hits are simulating the number of users. So now go to user. And if you want to increase the number of users 100, you can increase it. Let make it 100. Now clear the logs again and run it. This time it will run 100 times. So it is taking time. So it is running 100 times. Are you able to see yes or no?
But here the group thread name has user group 1 to 2, 1 to 5. What's the difference also?
Yes, very good. That's why I was expecting that in the JMeter, whenever you are learning, you should ask me each and every column. What is the meaning of? So sample, you got it. Sample is just giving the number of requests, number of sequence, that how many requests are there. Start time, you got it, that when this request was started. Okay, so you can see, you will see there will be a difference. For the first, if I click on the first, for this request, the start time was 21/17/11/338. After that, it is changing 355, 355, 360. So start time is changing. Reason is that whenever you run this tool, it not runs all the requests at once. What happens? One request will go, and after some time, next user will come into the picture and he will also start hitting the request. That's why you are able to see the difference in the time of start time. Yes or no? There is some difference. Are you able to see the difference in the last parameter 355, 355, then 362?
Yes, Pradeep.
So actually the start time is different for each and every request because every request is not hit simultaneously. Now you ask me, think, Pradeep, what is thread group? Now tell me, it is showing user group 1 of 1. So one thing is that user group 1 of 1, what is that is very important. So tell me, what is the name of your thread group? What is the name of your thread group?
User group.
So actually this whole group where you have specified the 100 users, this is called your user group. So the first user group is known as user group 1. Getting my point? This is known as user group 1. So now the question is that why you are able to see user group 1 of 1? It means it is telling this is for user group 1. The 1-1 means first request from user group 1. Then user group 1, second request. Are you able to see 147, 148, 49? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, Pradeep.
So it is telling that you from user group 1, first request. From user group 1, second request. From user group 1, third request. Are you getting my point? What is that? It is telling the group. Now you will ask me, Pradeep, why it is giving user group? Because you have an option that you can create multiple user groups also. Are you getting my point? You can create multiple user groups. Like I will give you the example. Go to your test plan and you can add one more thread group. And here you can say second user group. Are you getting my point? Second user group. Is it okay?
Yes.
And now you can do the same thing. Same thing, whatever you have API, whatever API you are calling, it is not the way that you are calling the same API in the second group, because the thing is that you can create single group, but I can show you that you can do same thing here, that try to copy and paste in second group. So now you can tell me one thing, this group contains same API and this group also contains same API. Getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes.
So now you will see what will happen. Do one thing, we can drag this thing so that you have two number of things, so you can specify in this way. So let me do one thing. Let me specify both the group above. Now what will happen? When I will try to run my test plan, how many groups are there? This group contains 100 users. Let me try to make it 10. Otherwise, it will take time. In the second group, I am making the thread group, suppose 5. So in first group, how many users are there? 10. In the second group, how many users are there? You are not going to speak. I'm not going to teach. How many users are in the second group?
Five
Five.
users.
Now you will see, this time you will see in the logs, you will see user group first information and user group second information. Let me clear the logs and let me run it again. Let me run and see. This time you will see that when it will hit the request, you will see. Now you are able to see user group 1 of 1, second user group 2, 1, yes or no?
Yes.
So because in your test plan, you are creating two groups. So how somebody will come to know that this request is hit from the user from user group first, and this request is hit from the second user group. You can create two separate user group also. So it is telling user group means this is user group 1 of 1. It means first hit request is hit by user group 1 request. Second user group second 1 request. Are you able to see yes or no? You got the
Here
point?
the sample. Yes,
Yeah.
Pradeep. Here in the sample, it is not in an order way. It's like 2, 1, 3, 4.
Yes, the reason I will tell you what happens that actually what happens whenever you are hitting the request, you have configured two users. You don't know which user will get chance first to hit the request. Are you getting my point? You are running two groups. You are running two groups and you have 5 users are here and 10 users are here. When you are running your test plan, whatever user from which group will first get a chance to hit the request, that will be restricted here. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
Okay, so it means you cannot control that from which group it will hit the request first. That's why in the standard scenario, you always try to create a single group. Let me remove this one. We are going to learn with the help of single use. Is it okay? So let me run it again and see 10 requests are there or not. So let me clear and let me run it again. Are you able to see 10 requests are there? Yes or no? Say yes or no.
Yes, Pradeep.
So now you got what is the thread name? That is actually telling the number of name of the user group and the number of requests. This is also telling the label. Label means which request it is hitting. Getting my point? Now you will ask Pradeep, why it is showing the get all student? Because we have only one API request in my user group. Now tell me one thing. In your user group or in your performance testing, do you think that every user is going to hit the same API? Maybe some users are hitting different APIs. Yes or no? Someone is hitting get all student. Someone is hitting get student by ID. Someone is hitting create student. Is it the real scenario? Yes or no? So in my user group, I am going to create a again new request, sample request, that is STV request. And this is I'm going to simulate get student by ID. Are you getting my point? What I'm trying to achieve here? In my user group, I'm trying to configure different type of API. Is it okay?
Yes.
So because in my user group, I'm saying that any user can hit any type of API here. So in get student, same I'm going to configure. Who is going to tell me how we configure it? HTTP is there. Who is going to tell me?
Protocol.
Yes.
And server name as
Server names.
localhost.
Yes. So in your case, it can be any IP. Good. Keep on saying. Now in the port number, this
8080.
Yeah. So now what happens that in your real application, maybe you will not able to, in some application, if you take the example of Amazon, or you can say any application which is running on the internet, sometime you will see it don't show any port. It only show the domain name. Like after HTTP, it shows Amazon.com. Yes or no? So in that case, whenever you are able to see any application without port, actually port is binded behind the scene. So in that case, you can leave this port number as blank. Getting my point? It is not mandatory. You should give here www.amazon.com. Here you have written the get path. And what is the last thing you have to set? This part. Yes or no?
Yes.
So now go and paste it here. So for the timing, you can also pass the value for it. But for the timing, let me make it hard coded. So I'm trying to hit the request for a ID that is 1. Okay, let me do one thing. Same, I can call it from my browser also, so that I can test it is working fine or not. For the 1, it is working or not. What is the problem? What is the problem? Okay, maybe I have not copied the whole one. When you are calling from the browser, you have to give the whole thing. So let me run it. Let me run it. And I will give 1. Yeah. So 1, I'm getting 123 Anku. So it means I'm going to hit this request. So now you will see one interesting thing. How many users are there? How many users? 10. How many requests I have configured? How many APIs? 1 and 2. Yes or no? And now you've seen the result. How many requests will be there? Anybody can guess how many requests you will see in the result? Guess, guess, guess. Nobody is going to hang you. How many?
20.
Very good. Very good. Because you can see here, reason is that your user group is 10 and every 10 user will get a chance to hit these requests. 10 times 10 user will request this hit this request, and same 10 user will hit this. So that's why you are able to see how many requests in the response. 20. Getting my point? Yes or no? Is it okay?
Yes, Pradeep.
Now you will see, I've told you about the what is the sample, just like a counting. Start time is just like the start time where your request was sample what hit. Sample was hit. Thread name is the name of the thread. Now label, you will see why. This time you will see the benefit, why it is showing the label. You can see that when this user hit the request, the API was get all student. And in this case, for this user group 1 and 1, what is the type of API? Get student by ID. So you can clearly see that which API is called in which user iteration. Getting my point? That's why this information is there. Anybody can guess what will be the sample time? Anybody can guess? That is very, very important in case of performance test. What is the sample time? Anybody want to guess? Sample time is the time which is taken by the API to get the response from the server. Getting my point? What is the sample time? When you hit the request and you got the response back to the JMeter, like the response of API, that time taken is known as sample time. Now you are able to see for same time of request, you are also able to see the time is there is a variation in the time. Yes or no? Because whenever you are trying to hit a request, every time you can't say that for every user, the server will respond in the same manner. Getting my point? Yes or no?
It is because of network issue or server issue?
Everything is actually considered. That is the part of the performance testing. Every time, whenever you are hitting the request, maybe at that time, the network is also slow. Sometimes network is slow, sometimes it's fast. Second thing, your server, where the application, where the API is deployed, how it is responding when it is getting multiple users. Are you getting my point? What happens? It has actually accept the request of one user. At the same time, it has accept the request of the second user. Now, first of all, it will serve to the first user. So the time of the response of the second user will be little bit increased. Yes or no? So it will try to actually get the response in the parallel manner, but still there can be some difference. That's why for every request, sample time can be varied. Getting my point? Yes or no? Now, what is the status? Anybody can tell me what is the significance of status? So status means it is telling if it is green, it means your response got properly. You got response properly. So status is passed. Now the thing is that what is the bytes? What is the bytes? Byte is actually the size of the response. Whenever you hit the request, you know that you get some result, you get some data in the response. Now take the example of this one. This is the data in the response. Yes or no?
Yes.
So if you want to get because now I will tell you one interesting thing. You will see that whenever you are trying to call different type of API, here API is also depend on the response data also. If you're take the example, if your one API is returning very, very huge data, so the performance is obviously it will be very, very slow because the response is very heavy. Now you are getting the data, so much huge data in the response. Now get and check for the get student by ID. You are getting only the data of one student. Yes or no?
Yes.
So actually your data, whatever coming, it is something like that. I will say that can you carry 5 kg bag with you and travel for 5 kilometers? Your performance will be different. And if I will say, can you pick 500 gram of bag and try to travel 5 kilometers? Your performance will be depend on your data, which you are carrying. Yes or no?
Yes.
So here you can see the data. Now this data, you can say for get student ID, the size of data will always be less. Now you go and check in the result tree. What is the size of the get student by ID? 355 bytes. Okay. But if you see the data of getter student, what is the size? 26,671. Yes or no? So what is the bytes? Byte is the data size of the response. Getting my point?
Yes.
Now the thing is that, now what is the send byte? Send byte is also the size of the data, but it is the size of the data of request, not the response. Byte is the size of the data of the response, but send byte is the data of the request. When you are creating the request, your request is also generated in the form of data. Yes or no?
Yes.
So that's why send byte is mean itself, the name saying send bytes means the size of the data which is sent as a request. Now the third thing, important thing, is latency. What is that latency? And then we have a connect time. Latency is very, very important. Latency is very, very important. What happens that latency is a term which is you can say very, very important in the performance. Now I will tell you again interesting thing. Anybody of you have tried to download any movie from the internet on your system? Anybody tried to download?
Yes.
Now tell me one thing. When you click on the download, in the previous time we tried to download from the BitTorrent. So when we try to download, now tell me, in one go all the movie data downloaded, or it downloaded by size by size? You will see there will be file will be created and the size increasing 2 MB, 3 MB, 5 MB. Yes or no? And when all the data will be downloaded, the file will be completed. Yes or no?
Yes.
So latency is actually what happens whenever you try to download, when your first size, first data actually start downloading. After I start downloading the first data which is downloaded, the time taken by that first data is known as latency. And why it is important? It is important because you know that first time when you start downloading the first data, first part of the data, it actually takes the time. After that, it will keep on downloading in the same sequence. So latency means the first data packet which is downloaded. Getting my point? So you know that indirectly you can say, if you have learned in your college time that whenever you try to download or travel the data from the network, data is traveled in the form of small packets of data. When you send an email, what do you think? That your email is sending and your data is sending in the, you can say one go. No, first of all, your data is actually converted or divided into the small packets. Like you have a 50 MB data, so packets you can assume it, and that is not the you can say exact you can say measurement I'm doing. That you can say if you have a size of 50 MB, your data is created in the form of 10 small packets. You mean say 5 small packets of 10 MB. Getting my point? So first 10 MB goes behind that second 10 MB, then third 10 MB. So latency is the when you got first packet. Getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes.
So latency is called the when the first data is received by the API. The first part of the API is received by the API. That is called latency. Now the last one is called connect time. Anybody know what is connect time? Anybody know the connect time? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a doubt. Like,
Yeah.
latency must be having some unit.
Yeah, that is you can say that is the time. That is the time in millisecond.
Okay.
Yeah, it is the time. Yeah, and the same time connect time is also you can say connect time, as name says, it is a time. So now connect time, what is the connect time and latency time? That is very, very important. Connect time, anybody can guess what is connect time?
How much time it is taking to connect to the server or
Yes. So here I will give these things are already, you can say, maybe you have not focused that time, but these things are already covered in our, you can say, college time. I will give you what happens. Let me take the example. Suppose take the example, this is your This is your client. Client means it can be browser, it can be JMeter, it can be SOAP-UI, where you are trying to hit the request. And this is your server where API is deployed. Is it okay? This is your client. It can be client means from where you are calling the API. It can be browser. It can be rest assured also. Yes or no? And it can be Postman also, using any tool where you are trying to hit the API. Yes or no? This is called your client. And from this client, you are trying to actually call an API. An API is actually deployed in a web server. Is it okay? You guys don't use your mouse.
Yes.
This is called web server. So here you can take the example where your APIs are deployed, like get all students. Okay, other type of API, get a student by ID. So here you can say APIs or services are deployed. Create a student. So now what happens, you will see. Very interesting thing is that what happens whenever you hit a request from here. So now the thing is request goes to here. Okay, request goes to here. And on the base of API, it returns the response. You got this thing. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
So now here you will see one interesting thing. In the real thing, whenever HTTP protocol is followed, there is one important thing. When a request goes to the API, okay, for example, let me show you what happened. When you're from the client, you hit a API like get student by ID, any type of API, anything you have hit. First of all, what happens? It do not send the directly response of the API. It actually send one thing that is called acknowledgement. Anybody know acknowledgement? It sends a acknowledgement. What is that? Very good. I'm really happy that you have used a term that is called handshaking. And what this is the very so few people do not know about is what is handshaking. Actually, the thing is that whenever you try to make a communication using the HTTP protocol, whenever you try to make a protocol, whenever you try to make a HTTP protocol communication and you hit a request, so when request goes to the server first of all return an acknowledgement. Acknowledge means I have got your request, now I'm ready to send the response, and this is known handshaking. Handshaking means now client and server both are ready to communicate. Getting my point? And who tell me this thing, handshaking? Who tell me?
This side,
Rashmi, great Rashmi, clapping for you. So now this thing, what happens when a request goes to the server, it actually first of all return acknowledge something like that, means I have got your request and I'm ready to serve. So they have just make a, why it is called handshaking? Now they have make a communication pipe that we are making. We have make the communication pipe. Now after that, in the second part, this response is given by the server. Getting my point? Getting my point, yes or no? So now the time taken by the handshaking, the time taken by the handshaking is known as connect time. The time taken by the handshaking is known as connect time. And when it actually send the response to the client, so it send the response in small packets. I told you, it is sending the data of the get student by. So it is coming in the same sequence, but it is in the form of small packets, something like that. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So when the first packet reaches to the client, this is known as latency. And in the same sequence, all the packets come to the client and you are able to see the complete response. This thing you can see only in while downloading any file, because at that time you can see icon of the image, icon of the movie is already, you can say, created on the download folder, and you can see the size of the increasing. You can see 2 MB, 10 MB, 12 MB on the basis of your bandwidth. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so I am just telling so that you can get some good knowledge here. Otherwise you don't need to go into the deep concept of this part. You can simply say that Connect time is that when it is connected to the server. Latency means when it give the first data packet. And what is the sample time? To give the complete data. Getting my point? You got the difference between the connect time, latency, and the sample time. And that's why you will able to see that sample time always will be greater than the latency time. It can be equal or greater, but sample time can never be less than latency time. Getting my point? Yes or no?
Sample time should be greater, huh?
Yes, because sample time is the time to get the all response from the server, and latency is the time to take the.
For one of the record, it is 18. 18.
So yeah,
it is 19 here.
Yeah, so you can at least I told you it can be equal, because the thing is that now you can see first packet is got in 18 millisecond, but in the next 1 millisecond it got the response. I told you first time when it download the packet, that takes time, and you can just this thing while downloading your movie. When you try to download, you will see it is taking time to start download. When it start downloading, then the speed of the download increases. Yes or no? First time when it start downloading, at that time is take time. Getting my point? Yes or no? You can see that's why sample time will always be greater than latency. And then in the same way, latency time will always be greater than the connect time, because connect is the connection time, and then it start giving the data. You will see in the first case, connect time is 0, means when it hit the request, it immediately connected and get the response. In case of, you can say, get all student, this type of, it took the connect time 1. Yes or no?
Yes.
So you can see, I told you it also depends on, because your data was heavy, so it took time to connect. Then it give the time to give the first packet, and then give the whole data. You got the understanding of each and every column here? Yes or no? Say yes or no. It is very important.
Yes, Pradeep.
Okay, now here you can see itself in the UI, it is showing you so many other things, like in the below, number of samples 20. It is actually giving a summary of your result. Latest sample is 9. Average it is giving 28531. It is saying that average time taken by the request, because you have 20 requests. So some APIs are taking more time, some are taking less time. So it is trying to give you the average of 20, and which is 2853. Getting my point? Now this is the called deviation. What is the deviation? Deviation means when it's trying to hit from one to another, when it's trying to from one request, it is trying to another, hit another request, then third, fourth. How much deviation? How much deviation means difference in terms of, you can say, time it is getting now 1941. Getting my point? So this is the, you can say, detail.
What about that latest sample, Pradeep?
Latest sample
sample
means
9.
Latest sample means the last, you can say, sample. So let me show you this one. It is not scrolling. Where is the 21? Let me scroll. Okay, let me scroll. Okay, this one.
20.
Actually, yeah, it actually showing the 20 sample here. Are you getting my point? So the time taken by the last sample is given as a latest sample. What is the time taken by the 20th sample? 9. Getting my point? Sample it is showing in the, you can say, puzzle manner, not in a proper sequence. Are you able to see what is the latest? 9. So latest sample means the last, because it is very important that when you hit the last request, at that time, what time is taken by the request. Because it tells that at that time, how much your server is healthy, because it is taking more time or less time. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see it is called latest. So in this way, you have learned that how you can configure the APIs in your JMeter, and how you can configure different type of APIs. Like I've configured get all student, then I configured get student by ID. Now I will show you that how you can configure other type of API. This is very important. Delete you can configure.
Can you show the results here also?
Yes, you can see the result. Yeah, you can see the result. This is results in the form of tabular form, and this is the result in the form of, you can say, tree. Tree means you can actually see the details of each and every, like what is the response header, what is the response body, what is the request, and what is the sample. So here that's why it is recommended you should use 2 listeners, 2 reports, you can say view results, so that you can get the details of each and every, and in the view result you actually get the different type of parameter. Is it okay, or you want to ask anything else? Is it okay?
Is there any request failing in this particular data result set?
No, can you come again?
Is there any request failing in this particular result set?
No, it is not failing, because anytime if any request will fail, you will see the status will be red. The status will be red. So you can do one thing. When I will try to run the same request for approximately 50,000, definitely it will fail, because what happens in that case, there will be a lots of loads on my server. Getting my point? So you can do one thing.
Yeah.
Whenever you will try to make a practice in my system, if I will try to do, maybe my system hang. So you can do one thing in your system, because you are not taking the session and you are just doing the practice. So your recording will also not disturb. So you can keep increasing the time. 10,000, 1 lakh. Is it okay? Okay. So definitely you will see that at any point of time, definitely you will see the result red. And at that time, it means your performance is not working properly. But the thing is that in user group, what you will set? You will set your load testing criteria. You will set the load. As Harshita told us that in the load testing, the criteria is already decided. And whenever you are making a stress testing, you can use the option infinite. You are not taking any consideration of the number of. Is it okay? So now let me show you other type of request that is very important. This time I'm going to show you how you can configure any post-based request. So the example is that create student, and this is very important because in this case the configuration is little bit different. In the create student, this is the protocol. Let me do the protocol HTTP. This is okay. Second is, you guys are not speaking with me. Wow, thank you. You are speaking with me. This is one. This is 8080. I told you, in your case, maybe your URL will be something like HTTP. Instead of this whole, you will get amazon.com. So you have to skip the port. Now you put the value www.amazon.com in server name IP, and you can leave the port. You don't need to give it. Method is post. And path is, what is the path? This.
Rest.
Yeah, rest is the path. Now let me copy and paste it. Now the question is very important. You have to give some test data. Where you give the test data? Copy it here and paste it here in the section that is called body data. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, now here I'm going to modify some names so that you can see really data is created or not. So let me do one thing. I'm just giving the name here. Good night. Good night. NIG. And I will do one thing also. I want to show you that your API is hitting or not. So for the timing, can I make it 1? Otherwise, what will happen? It will do the same thing for the 10 users. Yes or no? So for the timing, can I make it 1? Yes or no?
Yes.
And then you can increase. Okay, why I'm not making so much? In my database, it will create 10 requests, something like that. So that's why. So I'm just showing you how you can run it. Now see, for the timing, you can do one thing. For the timing, you can disable others. There is an option, disable. I'm going to disable so that it will hit only 1 request. And you can see that it is working fine or not. So this is the one. Let me clear the logs here. And when I will hit, it will run or it will create a problem. Anything you can see that is missing here, tell me. That is very. Now I want to check your knowledge that you have learned the rest assured properly and you have learned the SOAP properly with me or not. Tell me, one thing is missing. That is important in case of post request. Okay, let me run it and I will show you the response. Let me run it. Now go to here. You are getting red. Yes or no? You are not getting the reason here. Let me go to the result tree. Maybe you can catch it, the problem. Now, can you catch the problem if you see the here? The sample result. Can anybody guess? Okay, let me give you a hint. Are you able to see this line? What is this one?
XML.
Yes, it is giving unsupported media type. When you get this type of error in the rest assured as well as SOAP UI, because you was not giving the type of data, content type. Yes or no? So in the post, and if whenever you are posting some data in your request, this is very important. Several times you can say, I asked this question. You can say, so many people have asked this question. I'm able to call the get based API. I'm able to call the delete based API, but I'm not able to call the post based API. And trust me, 99%, the reason was they forget to put the header content type. So in this case, you have to do one important thing. Just right click on your Create a Student, which is actually a post based, and add one thing that is called configure element. And what you have to configure? HTTP header manager. What you have to configure? HTTP header manager. Now, tell me, content type was the part of your header. So what was the name of the header for your content type? What was that? I'm just giving the name, still you are not saying. Content type. You guys are awesome. You guys. So what was the name of the header? Content type. At least you can tell me the value of content type. What should be here? Application slash XML. Okay. Okay, let me check. We use this slash or something different. Application content, application slash XML. We use right one. So right one, we have to use this one. Right. Okay, now you will see I have just added content type. I have not make any change. Now go and see and run it. And this time you will see it is running fine or not. And it will prove that content type is again very important whenever you are putting some data in the body. Now let me run it and tell me, it is giving error or running fine? It is running fine or giving the error? Say yes or no. Can you see
Yes.
Great button. Now you can go and check the details of also. Great student. This is the sample. Everything is okay. 200 okay. This is the you can see the response. What ID is generated? 2955. Yes or no?
Yes.
That's why I was trying to show you with the help of only one API, so that I can show you what type of, you can say, what type of problems comes when you try to configure. This is, so in this case, header manager is very, very important. Now, what is the else use of a header manager? Suppose take the example, for accessing your API, you have to set some token. Yes or no? So where you set the token? In the header manager, something like that. Add, and here you can give the token name like API key, and you can give the here token key. This can be anything. Are you getting my point? What is the use of header? Whatever things is needed in the header, you can set in the header manager, and whatever is not needed, just delete it. You got the point? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now you have seen that I have created Create Student. You want to increase the user, just go and increase. I don't want to show in the starting so that I can show you the error for a particular one. Now you will see it is going to create. What was the last time ID it generated? 2955. Now it means how much ID it is going to create now? 5 records, because we have 5 users. 2956, 2957 till 60. And I will show you. Let me clear the logs and let me run it again. 5 request stars are there. Now go to and check the details here. This is response data. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now it is going to create a lots of data in my database. That's why I always avoid create student things in my API. But let me do one thing. I'm going to enable everything. I'm going to enable everything. And now if I will run, how many requests will be generated? If the user group is 5, how many requests will be there? How many?
960.
Yes. So how many requests? 5 users are there. And there are 3 types of requests. So how many requests? 15. Yes or no? Every user will hit get to student by ID and create a student. You want to see? Just see here. Are you able to see yes or no? You can see different type of API. Get a student by ID, create a student, get all student. Yes or no?
Yes.
So now the thing is, you have seen this is a group. Now you can increase. If you can increase 5,000 and you will see the impact. Getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes.
So this is called, you can see in this way, you can configure the performance testing. Okay. Now in the same way, I have told you about the, you can say all the flavors like get student ID, create a student. In the create a student, you got everything. Now tell me one thing. If you want to configure the put, you can do one thing. Put method you have to select. You can configure it here. You have to give the value here. And this thing you are going to set in the body. So it means it is a combination of get student by ID and create student. Yes or no? So whatever setting you have done, you can do it here. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes, Pradeep.
Yes, Pradeep. Okay. So now what we'll do, we are going to bind the session today, and tomorrow we will continue with the JMeter, and I will tell you so many interesting things others. Like I have given you one thing. Here I've given the hard-coded value of 1. Now tell me, for get all student, it is okay that you are using same, because for get all student, you don't need to pass any parameter. But do you think that if you have 100 users in your performance testing, everybody is going to hit the request with same test data? Now tell me one example. If I consider you, all of you guys in my performance testing. Now tell me, all of you, like take the example of, you can say Payal, Priyanka, everybody. All of you are going to get the student ID details of 1, or you can use somebody 1, somebody 2, somebody 3, somebody 4. Yes or no? So how we will perform it? Actually, we will do one thing. We will try to get this data at runtime, and we will pull the data from the Excel. In the Excel, we have so many IDs. We will put it, and we will configure that thing here in the JMeter, so that it will run for all the data which is available in the Excel. And that is very, very important. Because today we have learned how you can create multiple virtual users using user group. But tomorrow you will learn that how you can configure the Excel. You can store the data like test data in the Excel, and you can configure in your request, so that your request will run totally from the Excel. Means it will pull the data from Excel. You got the thing what we are going to learn tomorrow?
Yes.
So that is very important. And tomorrow I also show you one thing, that whenever you are doing this thing, after that, you can get a beautiful report. And actually in the performance testing, you have to analyze that report. It will tell you different type of parameter, like when you have, it will show you, you can say the graph between two parameter, like number of users, time, number of users, latency. So that is very important. So tomorrow's session is very, very important. Please join the session, and tomorrow I will bind the JMeter. Okay, so tomorrow's session will be binded according to the JMeter, and all the important things will be covered tomorrow. So at my request, please join the session. Is it okay?
Yes, Pradeep.
And also please try to configure the JMeter on your side. Try to configure all the APIs. I have already given you the API that is already configured on your machine, to try to access all the things, especially the create sprint, because this is very important. Okay, and you can ask me the question tomorrow, then I will continue. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, Pradeep.
Okay, Pradeep.
Yeah,
Okay.
this side Rashmi.
Yeah, Rashmi, you want to ask something?
Yeah, Pradeep. Actually, I joined late today, 45 minutes late.
Okay.
So I just have a request to please upload today's video today only.
No, I didn't get. You are saying that I should upload right now?
Yeah, maybe after half an hour or 1 hour.
Okay. Okay, your request is accepted. So I will
Thank
upload it within half hour. Okay.
But okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Good night.